The world is not fair. And the brutal truth you need to accept right now is that people don't value what's easily available. They don't chase what chases them. They don't desperately want what they already have guaranteed access to. You can be the most amazing person in the world, but if you're always available, always responsive, always there, you're worthless to them. Not because you lack value, because humans are wired to want what they can't have and ignore what they can. Right now, you're probably making yourself too available, responding too quickly, being too accommodating, too predictable, too eager. And every time you do this, you're killing attraction, you're destroying desire, you're teaching people that you're the safe option, the backup plan, the person who will always be there. And nobody desperately pursues someone who will always be there. Here's what they don't tell you. Scarcity creates value. Mystery creates obsession. Distance creates desire. Not because people are shallow or broken, because this is how human psychology actually works. We want what we can't have. We obsess over what we don't understand. We chase what moves away from us. This isn't negotiable. This isn't a preference. This is hardwired into every human brain, and if you don't learn to weaponize it, you'll spend your life being taken for granted. Every minute you spend being available, predictable and open is a minute you're destroying your perceived value. Every text you send first, every plan you make too easily, every time you rearrange your life for someone who wouldn't do the same for you, you're teaching them that you're low value, that you're desperate, that they don't need to work for your attention, because you give it away for free. And the worst part, you think being genuine, authentic and available is virtuous. It's not. It's suicide. Because while you're being your authentic, available self, someone else who understands scarcity and mystery is getting the attention, the desire, the desperate pursuit you wish you had. They're not better than you. They just understand the game you're refusing to play. Machiavelli lived in Renaissance Italy, where princes competed for power, influence, and loyalty. He watched the princes who made themselves too available lose power to princes who maintained strategic distance. He understood that humans assign value based on scarcity, not inherent worth. The prince who could be accessed freely was ignored. The prince who required effort to access was obsessed over. This wasn't about actual capability. It was about perceived value. This video will reveal 8 ruthless strategies of scarcity, perceived value, and mystery that make people desperately chase you. Not because you're manipulating them. Because you're finally understanding how human desire actually works and using it to your advantage. Stop being available. Start being scarce. Stop being predictable. Start being mysterious. Stop being easy. Start being a challenge they can't resist. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I am untouchable in thought. Machiavelli's understanding of perceived scarcity. Machiavelli observed that the same resource, access to a powerful person, was either ignored or desperately sought, depending entirely on its scarcity. When a prince granted audiences freely, people took meetings for granted. When a prince made access difficult, people begged for the same meetings they previously ignored. The resource didn't change. The scarcity did. And scarcity transformed worthless access into priceless opportunity. Your attention, time, and presence follow the same pattern. 1. The strategic disappearance that creates panic. Here's the first brutal truth. Constant presence kills desire. When you're always visible, always available, always in someone's awareness, you become background noise. You disappear through omnipresence. But when you strategically disappear, when you create gaps in your availability, when people suddenly can't access you, panic sets in. And panic creates desperate pursuit. Watch what happens when you're always available to someone. They text whenever they want. They know you'll respond. They know you're there. And because they know you're there, they stop thinking about you. They stop prioritizing you. You're the person they can get back to later, because you'll always be available later. You've become a guaranteed option, which means you're not valued. Now watch what happens when you disappear. Suddenly, they can't reach you. Suddenly, you're not responding. Suddenly, they don't know where you are or what you're doing. Their brain, which had categorized you as always available, goes into alert mode. Where are you? Why aren't you responding? Are you with someone else? Did they lose access to you? This uncertainty creates anxiety, and that anxiety drives them to pursue you to resolve it. Think about people you've desperately pursued. Were they the ones always available? Or were they the ones you couldn't quite pin down? The ones who sometimes disappeared? The ones you couldn't always access? That unavailability created the very obsession you're trying to create in others. But you'll never create it by being constantly available. The specific practice is ruthless. Disappear strategically. If you've been very available, go silent for a day. Don't explain. Don't apologize. Just be unavailable. If you always respond within minutes, start waiting hours or a day. If you see someone regularly, cancel plans and be unavailable for a week. Create gaps where they experience your absence. Those gaps create panic that drives pursuit. Most people fear that disappearing will make others forget them or move on. Sometimes that happens. And when it does, you've learned they never valued you enough to care about your absence. But the people who do value you, your absence will drive them crazy. They'll reach out more. They'll pursue harder. They'll suddenly realize your presence wasn't guaranteed. And that realization makes them desperate to secure it. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I refuse to be psychologically dominated by others. 2. The unpredictable response pattern that creates obsession. Pay attention to this psychological weapon. Predictability kills interest, while unpredictability creates obsession. When someone knows exactly how and when you'll respond, they categorize you as figured out and stop thinking about you. when they can't predict your responses, you occupy their mind constantly as they try to decode the pattern that doesn't exist. Here's what happens with predictable response patterns. You always respond within 10 minutes. They text, "Wait 10 minutes, get your response." This becomes expected. Your response has no impact because it's guaranteed. Or you always respond positively and accommodatingly. They know whatever they ask, you'll agree. Your yes becomes worthless because it's automatic. Predictability turns your attention into something taken for granted. Now watch what happens with unpredictable patterns. Sometimes you respond immediately. Sometimes you respond in hours. Sometimes days. They never know which they'll get. This uncertainty keeps them checking their phone, keeps you in their mind. Keeps them wondering why today was different than yesterday. The unpredictability itself becomes fascinating. Think about gambling addiction. People don't get addicted to guaranteed wins or guaranteed losses. They get addicted to variable reward schedules where they can't predict the outcome. Your attention and responses follow the same psychological pattern. Predictable responses are boring. Unpredictable responses are addictive. Make your response pattern variable, and people will become addicted to trying to secure your attention. The brutal practice: destroy any pattern in your responses. Respond immediately sometimes to show you can. Respond in hours or days other times to show you won't. Be warm and engaging sometimes. Be brief and distant other times. Give no consistency that allows them to predict or take you for granted. The confusion this creates in their mind translates to obsession with figuring you out. People will tell you this is game playing or manipulation. It's not. It's refusing to make yourself so predictable that you become ignorable. It's maintaining the natural variability that interesting people have, because they have full lives that don't revolve around one person. Unpredictability isn't manipulation. It's refusing to be a guaranteed resource that gets taken for granted. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I control my focus. 3. The mystery maintenance through information scarcity. Here's the third weapon. Stop oversharing. Stop explaining everything. Stop making yourself completely knowable. Mystery is magnetic because humans are wired to solve puzzles, and a person they can't fully figure out becomes an obsession they can't stop trying to solve. The more you share, the less mysterious you are. The less mysterious you are, the less interesting you become. Watch people who overshare. They tell everyone everything: where they are, what they're doing, how they feel, what they're thinking. Within weeks, there's nothing left to discover. They've removed all mystery. They've answered all questions. They've made themselves completely knowable. And once you completely know someone, the fascination dies because there's nothing left to discover. Now watch people who maintain mystery. They share selectively. You know some things, but not everything. You understand parts of them, but not the full picture. There are always gaps in your knowledge about them, and those gaps drive you crazy because your brain wants to complete the picture, but can't. So you keep thinking about them, keep asking questions, keep trying to solve the puzzle they represent. Think about the most fascinating people in your life. Are they the ones who tell you everything? Or are they the ones who remain slightly mysterious? The ones where you feel like you're always discovering new layers? That mystery is deliberate information scarcity, and it's what keeps people obsessed with understanding you. The ruthless practice: stop sharing everything. When asked what you did this weekend, give interesting but incomplete answers. Something unexpected came up. Don't elaborate unless pushed. When asked about your plans, be vague. I've got some things I'm working on. Create information gaps that make people curious. Let them wonder. Let them fill in the blanks. Let them stay fascinated trying to figure out the parts you're not revealing. Most people think authenticity means sharing everything. It doesn't. Authenticity is being genuine about what you choose to share. But choosing what to share and what to keep mysterious isn't deception. It's understanding that mystery is part of attraction. Once everything is known, interest dies. Keep some things mysterious, and people will stay desperate to know more. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose awareness over virtue. 4. The visible standards elevation that creates competition anxiety. Pay attention to this power move. Visibly raise your standards. When people think they've secured your attention without effort, they take you for granted. When they see your standards rising and realize they might not meet them, competition anxiety kicks in. Suddenly, they're desperate to prove they're good enough for your elevated standards. Here's what happens when you have no visible standards. You accept whatever treatment you get. You say yes to whatever plans are suggested. You accommodate whatever level of effort people give. This teaches them that you're easy, that minimal effort secures maximum access to you. And once they know minimal effort works, that's all they'll give. Why try harder when less works just fine? Now watch what happens when you visibly raise standards. Suddenly, you're less available for low-effort plans. Suddenly, you're not accepting treatment you used to accept. Suddenly, people see you expecting more, doing better, being selective. They realize the access they had isn't guaranteed anymore. They might not meet your new standards. And that realization creates panic and competitive drive to prove they're good enough. Think about how you respond to someone who elevates themselves. When someone you had easy access to suddenly seems more selective, more busy, more surrounded by quality people, you feel competition anxiety. You wonder if you're good enough. You try harder to maintain access. Their rising standards made them more valuable, and you chase that value. This works exactly the same when you raise your own standards. The brutal practice: visibly elevate yourself. Start saying no to plans that don't meet higher standards. Start being seen doing impressive things with impressive people. having impressive experiences. Start demonstrating through your choices that your standards are rising. Don't explain or apologize. Just show through your behavior that access to you now requires more than it used to. This forces people to compete to meet your standards. The ones who can't or won't meet them filter themselves out. Good. They weren't valuable enough. The ones who want to maintain access will step up their effort. Also good. You've just increased the investment people make in you by raising the price of admission. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I am untouchable in thought. 5. The pre-selection display through alternative options. Here's a weapon that makes people desperate. Let them see you have options. When someone thinks they're your only option, they don't value access to you because there's no competition. When they see you have multiple high-value options, suddenly you become the prize everyone's competing for. Pre-selection, the evidence that others want you, makes everyone want you more desperately. Watch what happens when you seem to have no options. People sense you're available, undesired, waiting. This kills attraction, because humans are social animals who use others' desire as a signal of value. If nobody else wants you, why should they? Your lack of options signals low value, which makes them treat you as low value. It's unfair, but it's reality. Now watch what happens when you have visible options. Suddenly, you're not always available because you have other plans. You're not desperate for their attention because you get attention from others. You're selective because you can afford to be. This demonstrates value. And humans desperately want what others want. Your options create competition that makes everyone pursue harder. Think about products everyone wants versus products nobody wants. The difference isn't always quality, it's perceived demand. The iPhone isn't objectively better than every phone, but everyone wants it partly because everyone wants it. Pre-selection creates perceived value that drives desperate pursuit. Your attention works the same way. When others want it, everyone wants it. The ruthless practice: make your options visible without being obnoxious. Mention plans with others. Be busy with other people. Let it be known that others value your time. If someone wants to see you and you're unavailable, they should know it's because you have other valuable things happening. Don't hide your full life. Display it. Let them see they're competing for access to someone others value. This creates competition anxiety and fear of loss. They realize you could choose someone else, that you have the option to walk away because you have other options. And that realization makes them desperate to be the option you choose. Pre-selection transforms you from someone chasing them into someone they desperately chase. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I refuse to be psychologically dominated. 6. The selective attention that creates craving. Pay attention to this psychological principle. Consistent attention is taken for granted. Selective attention creates craving. When you give attention freely and constantly, it becomes background noise. When you give attention strategically and selectively, Each moment of attention becomes precious. People become desperate for the attention you only sometimes provide. Here's what happens with constant attention. You always respond, always engage, always give them your focus when they want it. This trains them that your attention is unlimited and always available. So they stop valuing it. They stop trying to earn it. They stop being grateful for it. Your attention has become an expected commodity with no special value. Now watch what happens with selective attention. Sometimes you're fully engaged and present. Other times you're distant and brief. Sometimes you initiate. Other times you're hard to reach. The inconsistency creates addiction, because they never know if this interaction will give them the attention hit they're craving or leave them wanting more. Think about relationships where you felt constantly attended to versus ones where attention was selective. The constant attention felt smothering or boring. The selective attention left you craving more, checking your phone, hoping for that engagement hit. That's the power of selective attention. It creates craving through strategic withholding. The brutal practice: give attention strategically. Be fully present sometimes to show you can be. Be distant other times to create craving. When you give attention, make it count. Be genuinely engaged. When you withhold it, don't explain or apologize. The contrast between your engaged presence and your distant absence will drive them crazy, trying to secure more of the engaged version. This isn't being fake or withholding. It's understanding that attention has value, and value comes from scarcity. You can't be fully present for everyone constantly, so be strategic about when and how you give your attention. Make it selective enough that people compete to receive it. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I control my focus. 7. The delayed gratification that amplifies desire. Here's another ruthless truth. Immediate gratification kills desire. When people get what they want from you immediately, immediate responses, immediate availability, immediate agreement, they lose interest because there's no tension, no build-up, no anticipation. Delayed gratification amplifies desire by extending the anticipation phase where desire grows. Watch what happens with immediate gratification. They text, you respond instantly. They suggest plans, you immediately agree. They want your time, you immediately provide it. Every want is immediately satisfied. This feels good for them in the moment, but kills their desire over time, because there's no space for wanting. The gap between wanting and having is where desire lives, and you've eliminated that gap. Now watch what happens with delayed gratification. They text, you respond hours later. They suggest plans, you don't commit immediately. They want your time, they have to wait for it. The delay creates space where anticipation grows. During that wait, they're thinking about you, wanting the response or the plan or the time. The delay itself amplifies how much they want what they're waiting for. Think about anticipation for a vacation versus the vacation itself. Often, the anticipation, the waiting and planning and looking forward, creates more happiness than the actual event. That's because anticipation is where desire amplifies. When you make people anticipate access to you, you're letting their desire grow in that space. The ruthless practice: delay everything slightly. Don't respond instantly, even if you could. Don't immediately commit to plans, even if your schedule is open. Don't immediately provide what they want, even if you're willing. Create small delays that force them to sit in anticipation. That anticipation grows their desire for what they're waiting for, which is access to you. Most people think delays are rude or game-playing. They're not. They're creating the anticipation space where desire naturally amplifies. You're not denying them. You're making them want it more by making them wait for it. And that increased wanting translates to increased pursuit. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose awareness over virtue. 8. The complete withdrawal of chase. That forces reversal. Here's the final and most powerful strategy. Stop chasing completely. Stop initiating. Stop pursuing. Stop being the one who reaches out, makes plans, maintains contact. Complete withdrawal of your chase forces a psychological reversal where they suddenly become the pursuer, trying to regain the attention you've stopped giving. Watch what happens when you're always the one chasing. You initiate texts, you make plans, you reach out, you maintain the connection. This establishes a dynamic where they're the prize and you're the pursuer. They become comfortable receiving your pursuit. They never have to pursue because your pursuit is guaranteed. You've taken on the chaser role permanently. Now watch what happens when you stop chasing completely. Suddenly, the texts they were used to receiving stop. The plans they expected you to make don't materialize. The attention they took for granted disappears. This creates panic. Where did you go? Why aren't you pursuing anymore? Did they lose you? The sudden absence of your chase makes them realize they actually wanted it. And now they chase to get it back. Think about times you stopped chasing someone. Often they suddenly started pursuing you. Not because they suddenly decided you were valuable, because the absence of your pursuit made them realize they'd been taking it for granted. And humans always want back what they've lost. Your withdrawn chase triggers their pursuit instinct. The ruthless practice: stop chasing entirely. If you've been the one initiating, stop. If you've been the one making plans, stop. If you've been the one maintaining contact, stop. Let complete silence create the vacuum. The person who is comfortable receiving your chase will suddenly feel its absence. And that absence will drive them to become the chaser, trying to regain what they lost. Some people won't chase back. Good. They never valued you enough to pursue. They only valued having someone pursue them. Those people aren't worth having. But the people who do chase back, they've just revealed they value you enough to pursue. And now you've reversed the dynamic so they're chasing you instead of taking your chase for granted. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I am untouchable in thought, master scarcity, or stay ignored forever. So here's what these 8 ruthless strategies reveal. People desperately chase what they can't easily have. disappear strategically, and create panic. Make your responses unpredictable and create obsession. Maintain mystery and become the puzzle they can't stop trying to solve. Visibly raise standards and create competition anxiety. Display options and trigger pre-selection desire. Give attention selectively and create craving. Delay gratification and amplify desire. Stop chasing and force them to chase you. This isn't manipulation. It's understanding how human psychology actually works and using it instead of being victimized by it. Humans value scarcity. They obsess over mystery. They want what others want. They crave what's withheld. They pursue what moves away. This isn't opinion. It's hardwired psychology. Stop being constantly available. Stop being predictable. Stop oversharing. Stop having no standards. Stop hiding your options. Stop giving constant attention. Stop providing immediate gratification. Stop chasing. Every one of these behaviors is teaching people to take you for granted. And people who take you for granted will never desperately pursue you. Machiavelli would remind you that princes who made themselves scarce were pursued while princes who made themselves available were ignored. That perceived value matters more than actual value. That humans assign worth based on scarcity, not inherent quality. Start treating your time, attention, and presence as the scarce, valuable resources they are. Stop giving them away freely to people who don't desperately want them. If this video revealed how you've been destroying your own value through constant availability, hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to learn scarcity. Subscribe, because we're going to keep teaching you how to weaponize psychology instead of being victimized by it. Now, I want you to drop this final affirmation in the comments. I am powerful and kind. Become scarce. Become mysterious. Become unpredictable. Now go make them chase you desperately by finally understanding that easy access kills desire.